Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. We're about to head into learning about Romeo and Juliet, which is one of the best-known plays written by William Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a man who lived in England from 1564 to 1616. He wrote 37 plays and 154 sonnets, which is kind of a lot of both of those things. He is still famous to this day for a variety of reasons. What we say most often, though, is that Shakespeare contributed to the development of the English language in some really interesting ways. Whether you know it or not, chances are you've used a term that Shakespeare initially invented. Things we say every day, like dead as a doornail or wild goose chase, are believed to be first written by him. There are a couple interesting things about this play, and a couple things it might help if I explain before we get into it. First, this play is set a long time ago. At this time, families were run entirely by the eldest father figure, or patriarch. The women in his family, like his wife and his daughters, were expected to listen and obey whether they liked it or not. In particular, a man's daughters were basically considered to be property. When a young lady from a noble family got married, it was often to somebody that was chosen by the patriarch of the family. The husband would usually be chosen for financial or political reasons rather than for love. The husband-to-be was paid a dowry, which was a sum of money a man would give to his daughter's fiancé to make up for the fact that this guy was now responsible for taking care of this woman that he was about to marry. The richer the family, the bigger the dowry. Think about that for a second, and maybe you can see how that might make marriages seem a little weird in the 1500s. Back in the day, Shakespeare's audience would have understood these factors as a source of tension in the story. They also would have been very interested to see the fighting. There are a few fights in this play, and the audience would have had a chance to be entertained by some flashy sword fights happening on stage. Hopefully, our production will not disappoint on that front. We have worked very hard on our fight choreography. The first thing that happens in Romeo and Juliet is a prologue, where an actor would come on stage and tell the audience what they needed to know to understand what was going on in the play. In this prologue, the end of the story is spoiled, but I suppose that wasn't as big of a deal back in the day. So, I found these guys to help me recite the prologue of Romeo and Juliet.
We're here to tell you what the play is going to be about. He speaks Shakespeare, I speak English.
Two households, both alike in dignity.
So, we've got two big families, and they're both super rich.
In fair Verona, where we lay our scene.
These families live in Verona, Italy. The play happens in Verona, Italy. Verona, Italy is the setting.
From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean.
They've been fighting a long time. They were fighting a long time ago, and they're still fighting, except now it's like a gang war or something. When one guy kills another guy, it's still murder, no matter how old the fighting is.
From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers.
So, we're going to have one kid from each family, and they're going to fall in love.
Take their life!
And they wind up killing themselves.
Whose misadventured piteous overthrows doth by their death bury their parents' strife.
It's such a bummer that these kids off themselves that they finally decide to stop fighting.
Whew. Intense. Well, with that, we feel something like pride to present our interpretation of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.